This city endured the longest siege in the history of modern warfare. For almost 4 years, its streets were a war zone, and its buildings were reduced to rubble by relentless shelling. But today, those same streets are alive with the aroma of coffee, cevapi, and conversation. This is Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and a city that openly bears its scars even as it becomes a modern travel destination. I'm Geoff.
And I'm Alexa.
Together, we're exploring the history and geography of the world, one place at a time. Alexa and I have arrived in Sarajevo from Lithuania, which is still in Eastern Europe, but the southern part of the continent, which means it's a little different. It's more crowded, more chaotic, but also more vibrant. And we're excited to show you what it looks and feels like today. So we are off to, well, where our tour picks up from, which is sort of in the old town part of Sarajevo. And I just want to point out that the week before we arrived to Sarajevo, hot, 90 plus degrees, very warm, probably pretty typical of, well, Bosnia at this time of year. This week, it's been cold, rainy, a little dreary. We've actually lucked out with the weather today because it seems to be drier, although it's still cloudy. But yesterday and the day before that, all rain, which makes me happy. Alexa, I'm less happy. One of the main reasons we wanted to visit Sarajevo is that 2025 is the 30th anniversary of the conclusion of the Bosnian War, which was a disastrous conflict that left much of the country in ruins. Specifically, Sarajevo was the epicenter of the war, and the city was under siege for nearly 4 years by Serbian forces, making it the longest siege of a city in modern history. This includes all sieges that occurred during both world wars. During the siege, about 65% of the city was either heavily damaged or destroyed entirely, over 5,000 civilians were killed, and more than 56,000 were injured. To say that this was a devastating conflict for Bosnia would be an understatement. And so, to kick off our day in the city, we're going to first take you to 4 areas that showcase what the war looked and felt like. And remember, this was only 30 years ago, so it's pretty recent.
Our first stop is at the Tunnel of Hope, which is a kilometer-long tunnel that runs under the Sarajevo airport. This tunnel was monumentally important for the Bosnian forces, as it provided safe passage for people stuck in the city, which was under siege. It also allowed Bosnian forces to bring supplies into the city, and transport wounded soldiers out to where they could be treated. But make no mistake, this was still an active war zone, and the Serbian forces tried repeatedly to find and bomb the tunnel. While the tunnel is very much the main show, the museum is home to a bunch of other historic bits and pieces, including the weapons and equipment the Bosnian forces used during the war. This was all really interesting stuff, but there's one thing you want to see when you come here, and that's the tunnel. So, down we go. Safety first.
Not a lot of headspace. This is incredible. It's completely man-made, obviously. And right now we are walking underneath the airport here in Sarajevo. And they used to use this to escape the shelling from the Serbian Yugoslav army that was sieging the city. This was how they got around and felt safe traveling through and around this area. In a lot of ways, it's a lot like the Cu Chi tunnels in Vietnam. Not quite as small though, but maybe just as claustrophobic if you're down here for a while, because you can't tell I am leaning over, sort of walking through, because it's not quite tall enough for me, about 6 feet, to stand up.
The height was fine for me.
Only about 100 meters of the nearly kilometer length were we allowed to go through. Still very cool. It's amazing what people used to have to do just to be safe and get supplies across. I mean, literally digging a tunnel underneath the airport was a monumental task. I don't think I could do it. Now, you guys might be wondering why Alexa and I are doing a tour instead of doing this ourselves. And I just want to point out something. First of all, where we're going this morning is pretty much on the outskirts of town. Sarajevo, lovely city, you'll see it a little bit later, does not have the best public transportation system, nor do they have something like Uber or Bolt. So actually getting around can be kind of a challenge. So in this instance, just to get to where we need to go to show you guys what this is all about, it's just easier for us to be on a tour because they're going to take us directly there.
I'd also add that hearing directly from our tour guide has been absolutely amazing. He actually fought in the war.
It's harrowing, some harrowing stories. Onward to the next place.
Pardon the brief interruption. This is a message from future Alexa, coming from beautiful Corsica. As you're watching us explore Sarajevo, I want to share something that has completely changed how we travel and stay connected. Now, we've all experienced the usual travel frustrations. You land in a new country, and then you start the desperate search for decent Wi-Fi or a local SIM card vendor. It's a hassle. Or the alternative is a shockingly high roaming bill when you get back home. That's why, on this trip and all our future travels, we are using Airalo, the sponsor of this video. Airalo is the world's first and largest eSIM store, offering data plans for over 200 countries and regions. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's an eSIM? Now I promise it's super simple. It's just a digital SIM card that you download directly on your phone. Before we even left for Europe, I just opened the Airalo app, chose a data plan, and installed the eSIM in just a couple of minutes while sitting comfortably on my couch. It means that we were connected to the local network the second we landed. No stress. So if you want to make your travel smoother, I highly recommend downloading the free Airalo app. Use our code GeoLex to get $3 off your first eSIM purchase. I put a link in the description below, or you can scan this little QR code. All right, let's get back to exploring Bosnia's beautiful capital city. While the tunnel is one of the most visible remnants of the Bosnian War, there are other very important but less obvious pieces as well. One of those pieces is the old 1984 Olympic bobsled track, which is the second stop on our tour this morning. It's cold. We went from being very hot to very cold. Well, not very, but slightly cold.
I'm a dramatic girl.
So one of the most fascinating aspects of Bosnia and Herzegovina is that there's actually two administrative states that make up this country. And you would think one would be Bosnia and one would be Herzegovina, right?
Wrong-o.
One is the Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the other is the Republic of Srpska. And if you look at a map of these two administrative states, apparently, and according to our tour guide today, they roughly follow the battle lines that carved up the country during the Bosnian War in the mid-1990s. I don't know, there's just something really interesting about that, and it kind of makes the entire country feel a lot more unsettled than I think you would expect it to be, especially after the war and now that there's been peace for 30 years. But it's almost like, you know, one side could just ignite it again, claiming the lands that they currently have administrative control over, and the whole thing could start up again. I don't know if I've been in a country as complicated as Bosnia in a long time.
And what's interesting is while you're driving, you can't really tell which entity you're in, but you can see subtle signs of it. So for example, going through the Republic of Srpska, you'll see flags that Serbians have, and while it's not an official flag of Serbia, it is a flag close to it.
Interesting country, man. So right now we are sort of just walking through what is otherwise a very lovely park on the outskirts of Sarajevo. Eventually it's going to lead us to, I think, a really nice overlook, actually. But it also happens to be a place where, you know, there were shelling and artillerying and probably snipers and all kinds of military bad stuff.
Do you not know big words?
One of the most interesting things is that, you know, as we've made our way from the airport to where we're at now, we actually did quite a bit of elevation gain. And where we were was actually quite warm, relatively. Yeah, sun would come out and you would feel it. You get a little sweaty. Up here, which admittedly we climbed quite a bit, it's cold.
Yeah, you can almost see our breath.
You couldn't see it at all.
It's the lighting.
Down where we were by the airport, probably about 75 degrees. Here it's probably about 65 degrees.
So basically freezing.
So basically freezing.
It might not look like it, but this bobsled track was the site of a huge battle during the Bosnian War. You can literally see the bullet holes. While the graffiti art is pretty cool, if you look really close, you can see scars from the war.
This is really cool. So where Alexa and I are right now was the 1984 Winter Olympics bobsled track. And this is also a position where the Serb forces were able to shell and fight against the Bosnian forces. And of course, this very strong concrete, and so provided a very good defense. So the Bosnians were definitely at a disadvantage here. But I think the most interesting thing is that the Winter Olympics were in 1984, less than 10 years later. Full-on war. Just goes to show how quick things can turn.
Right next to the bobsled track is another relic of the Bosnian War, a cafe turned bunker for the Serbian forces. During the 1984 Winter Olympics, this building housed a venue where visitors could watch bobsled teams from around the world compete. Just 8 years later, though, it was a military bunker for the Serbian forces. Its thick, concrete walls protecting soldiers on the inside from Bosnian gunfire down the hill.
Our third stop on the tour was to a beautiful viewpoint of the city. But while the view was incredible, there was a far darker reason why we stopped here. This was where the Serbian forces originally set up the artillery that would soon rain down explosives on the city. A truly grim reminder of the geography surrounding the city that enabled such atrocities. But what's especially interesting is that, prior to the war, the civilian Bosnians in the city originally questioned why artillery was being placed on the outskirts of Sarajevo, to which the Serbian military commanders replied that it was to protect the city. But the Bosnians at the time noted that the artillery was positioned and oriented towards the city, not away from it, giving the final clue that the city was in imminent danger, which it was.
We've made it to another front line of the war. This one is a Jewish cemetery. You can actually see bullet holes on both sides. On this side, this is where Bosnians were fighting, and then on this side was Serbians. Depending on who was initiating the fighting at the time, you can see bullet holes on both sides. It's sad to think that like even a cemetery wasn't a sacred place, but how much was sacred during the war.
And not to bring a whole other war into this, but this is also, as Alexa said, a Jewish cemetery, which means when the Nazis were in power in this region, a lot of people ended up getting executed in this area because they were Jewish, of course. It's very sad, very tragic area. Bullet hole, bullet hole, bullet hole, bullet hole, bullet hole. Crazy. We had one final stop on our war tour. Thankfully though, this one had nothing to do with the Bosnian War. It was just a pretty viewpoint from an old Ottoman fortress called the Yellow Bastion. After snapping a few pics and taking in the view, our tour had completed, and it was time to go back to the city. Well, that was a very fun first half of our day. Fun is a hard word though.
Yeah, informative.
So the next part is mostly going to be showing you guys what, well, modern Sarajevo is like. It's not to say that there's not going to be any more history, but
There'll just be a little bit more. Like we're gonna go get some food and beer.
always need a beer. So if you ever come to Old Town Sarajevo, one of the first things you're going to stumble upon is this very large pedestrian street. And oh boy, is it very touristy. This is probably the most touristy place I've been to in Europe so far. And that says a lot because we've been to some touristy places, but there's just people everywhere, all from all sort of parts of the world, taking pictures, shopping, going to bars, coffee shops. This is like the street that you'll probably be on most often. In oh so many ways, Walking around Sarajevo reminds me so much of walking around Hanoi. Lots of cars, lots of traffic. It's a vibe-based traffic system, really. You really have to know just how to navigate it and just go whenever you feel it's right.
We have made it to Sarajevo Brewery, and we're here for a few reasons. First, we need a beer. It was a long and informative morning, and we need a little bit of a break before we explore Old Town. But two, Sarajevo Brewery has a really interesting history. It started in 1864 and quickly became one of the leading production industries in the region. But what's really interesting about Sarajevo Brewery is that during the Bosnian War for Independence, the brewery was one of the main areas where people were able to get water during the siege of Sarajevo. It became a very important place here in Old Town in Sarajevo and actually was a target during the war. Now, it's an interesting place to get a drink. It's very vibey. There's also a museum. We're not going to check that out. I think it's time for me to try the beer. Step one is opening the bottle.
It's embarrassing.
Geoff didn't warn me that it was going to pop like a champagne bottle. Sure. Cheers. Beer.
I was absolutely not going to tell Alexa that it was going to pop like a champagne bottle because it's comedy gold. I couldn't take that away from you guys, and I wouldn't take that away from myself either.
How could I say no to that?
Well, we each got a beer in us, and if I'm being honest, it was okay. It's fine. It's beer-flavored beer. And the restaurant itself, it's okay. It's actually not even really Bosnian food. We'll try and find something a little extra special to show you guys that's actually Bosnian here in the Old Town. These guys are a long way from home. Florida license plate in Bosnia. I mean, it's probably a replica, but...
So the other reason we wanted to go to Sarajevo Brewery is because it is right down the street from this historical spot. Now, it might not look like much, but this is where World War I started. You see, in 1914, Franz Bernadette and his wife, Sophia, were assassinated right here. This is important because he was the Austro-Hungarian heir to the throne. Once he died, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. When that happened, Russia declared war on Austria-Hungary. From there, Germany decided to declare war on Russia, causing a chain of events and conflict that ultimately led to World War I.
Now, one of the things you might be wondering is, we're in Bosnia, not Austria or Hungary. Why would there be an heir to Austria-Hungary here? And that's actually because Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire at the time, which predates World War I, sort of split this entire Balkans region up. And so this area was part of Austria-Hungary, and Serbia, at the time not an independent country, wanted to become independent. Hence the assassination attempt and success, and that led to the eventual wars. You know, it's funny because Sarajevo is such a beautiful city, and yet it's kind of best known for its wars, or the wars it started, I guess. Well, first the World War I. World War II was very brutally harsh in the Balkans, especially in Bosnia. And of course there was the Bosnian War. It's just like a weird thing to be known for when you're otherwise a very pleasant and remarkable city. A lot of stuff happens here, I guess. Alexa and I have made it here to the Sarajevo City Hall, which is a very beautiful building, but if you didn't know any better, this building was actually basically turned to rubble during the Bosnian War. And during that time, they lost millions of books and other sort of documents that were very important to the Bosnian country at the time. But they all went up in flames. It's a very beautiful building now, though. City Hall, super beautiful, very tragic museum telling the story we already heard today. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell, but we've been out since pretty early this morning and we are running low on energy. So I think it's time for some baklava. Baklava? Baklava. Baklovia.
Stop it. Get some help.
We're gonna go find some baklava.
Can I get one of the Sarajevo baklava and then one of the, which one did you want?
The chocolate.
Chocolate?
Seriously, so many tourists. I guess including us.
A few moments later.
Okay, we finally found a seat. We have a lovely view of people watching. Behind us, though, is the Samsung Galaxy.
Looks like an okay phone, I guess. I don't know.
It's just, Old Town is very, very busy. There's a lot of people, not a lot of places to sit. A lot of children, too.
A lot of children screaming.
For the culture.
Looks delicious. Mine actually looks a little green, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Is it more bak or is it more lava?
Both.
12 seconds later.
Well, I'm back, and I just tried it, but you guys didn't see any of that because Alexa forgot to hit the record button.
I didn't know it was lava.
Generally, I think cake is better. I'm not the biggest baklava fan. Alexa, the one that she got, which I guess is just original flavor, tastes a lot like oatmeal to me. It's like sweet oatmeal, but just like oatmeal, you know? It's okay. It's not my favorite dessert, if I'm being honest.
Oh, so good. I want it all. Walking around Old Street, first, very crowded, especially on a Friday like today. But you're walking around, there's a lot of narrow, winding streets. Originally, they all sold a specific type of good, kind of like in Hanoi, how they had the guild streets. Well, now, today, you walk around the narrow, winding streets and they kind of sell a little bit of everything, except for this street. We're on Copperware Street, and as you can tell, there are a lot of copper goods that they still specifically sell on this street. Really beautiful. I wish I could take some stuff home with me, but Geoff won't let me. Just kidding, I don't have space in my suitcase.
Believe me, she really doesn't. So I have no idea what that water's about. A lot of people just go up and drink from it. It is coming out of a mosque, so maybe there's something to do with that. But a lot of people were getting water, so I went ahead and filled it up a little bit, just to try it, just see what it's like. It's very good water, actually. I don't know. The very last thing that we want to show you here in Sarajevo is the diversity that this city holds, because there's no other city that has the religious diversity that Sarajevo has. Case in point, within just a couple blocks, there is a mosque, a cathedral, an Eastern Orthodox church, and a Jewish synagogue. And we're going to take you to each one right now. So first things first, the mosque. Here is the Catholic Cathedral, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and finally, we're gonna head over to the synagogue, which is across the river, but I promise you, still just a short walk. There's no accounting for stoplights. And finally, the Jewish synagogue, which the only other city that I can think of in the world that has this density and this variety of religious institutions would be Jerusalem. So Sarajevo is kind of different in that way and kind of cool, I guess.
Now, if you're walking through Old Town, you will inevitably end up in Pigeon Square, which is where we are right now with this beautiful fountain. But this is where we're gonna end it. We've had so much fun exploring Sarajevo, especially Old Town. I've learned so much.
This is an interesting place because the layers of history make you think that it might be worse than it is or more sad, but it's actually kind of a fun town, and it's like very joyous, and the people are very warm and inviting. But it does have, like, you know, they've been through some stuff, you know?
Yes. Next week, we are heading to...
Well, just southern Bosnia, or better known as Herzegovina. What is that?
We'll find out. So come back next week
For another adventure.
See you then. Well, when that happened, Romania decided that...
Russia.
Dang it, why do I keep saying Romania?
Next week on
All right. Next week, he was the
Austro-Hungarian, yeah. Austria-Hungary.
On Austro-Roman.
Austria-Hungary.
Russia declared war on Austria.
Austria.
Austria. I can't say it.